Hey, okay, well, this is another response video. I decided to make a video rather than leaving an essay on the original post. The video I'm responding to was made and posted by Jayne Goth, who is a young lady in the goth community who I've been following for some time now. She makes great videos, go check her out. I'm not going to be on camera for this video for two main reasons. First, I don't think I'm that great on camera, but also I would like what I'm saying to speak for itself as much as it can without my awkwardness getting in the way as it sometimes does, at least in my opinion. So, the video that Jayne Goth made is about the difference between goth and emo culture, and at least for me, it seems to be a difference of perspective, at least in part. For example, take the subject of romantic love. While goth music might focus on romantic love, the beauty of it, how extreme elements of it can be, and celebrating that, emo music might focus more on how a person deals with subjective negative experiences. For example, if the romantic relationship goes bad and the pain of that and fuck the world. It's the pain that is given a voice, at least as much as the love, how the person experiences that pain, how it adds to pain they may already have, and how they filter it through experiences they already have, be they traumatic or otherwise. This can all add up to a subjective reality, which can then lead to a certain amount of conflict with the objective reality of the outside world, and it can get expressed physically or behaviorally, particularly by young people who already may feel disenfranchised. They may feel that no one understands what they're going through, perhaps. Thus, at least in my mind, there seems to be a degree of conflict in a lot of emo music and culture that I've encountered that isn't as present in goth music and culture. As an autistic person myself, I would argue that there is some kind of parallel between autism and emo, surrounding the conflict between subjective and objective reality, which is then expressed outwardly, either more obviously in terms of, for example, emo fashion, or more subtly, for example, in terms of the masking that we autistic people often do to help us exist in society. Also, the conflict between subjective and objective reality in emo culture can be similar to that which can exist in autistic culture between neurodivergent people and the neurotypical world we live in. The reluctance, perceived or otherwise, for one side to try and understand the other. Society obviously isn't designed with autistic people in mind a lot of the time, but I think that is changing, albeit at a glacial pace. This, of course, is a generalization. Not all neurodiverse people think this way, but there is a certain amount of anger in the culture from what I've seen in the autistic culture, and most of it is born from frustration, a situation that feels analogous to me in some of the themes expressed in emo music and culture. In contrast, goth music and culture seems to be more about a view of the world and of experiences within it that is categorized not by conflict but by individuality. Probably for this reason, and others, of course, goth often has a confident feel to it rather than the more confrontational feel that emo can have. Again, my experience, I'm not saying that this is an absolute truth. Of course, both emo and goth are musical subcultures and do not necessarily inform or express anything other than a person's musical tastes. People who feel certain ways may feel drawn towards certain types of art and or media, but that is not necessarily a function of the art or media itself to promote such feelings or behaviors. For myself, ironically, given my statement regarding my perceived similarities between emo and autism, as someone with autism myself, I feel more drawn to the goth subculture. That I am an individual and that being autistic is part of that individuality. Now, whether this is because I was diagnosed at a later age than most people often are, I was diagnosed in my early 40s, I don't know, but certainly not having to deal with the stresses that can be present in younger people, leave alone younger adults that may be autistic, certainly helped, I think. I think if I'd been diagnosed as a younger adult, then I may well have become angered by my experience of a world which was not designed for people like myself, on top of the inner and sometimes outer conflict, by which I mean conflict with others or with the outside world that can accompany one's search for identity. Whether their similarity to autism carries over into the differences between goth and emo as subcultures, possibly, in terms of how people react to their diagnoses or diagnosis and their experience of the world. I see it as something that distinguishes me, a neurological difference rather than a disability, while some people feel frustrated by what they see as a lack of understanding from the neurotypical world. The small amount of conflict I have witnessed between people in the emo subculture and people in the goth subculture, though, seems to be born of a desire to not be miscategorized for the most part, which is, of course, different and honestly fair enough. I wouldn't imagine there are many people who would want to be misidentified no matter what subculture they adhere to. Anyway, bit of a dense video in some ways, this one, but Jayne Goth's video definitely struck a chord in me, and I thought I'd make a video about it, essentially. This is that video. I hope that people enjoyed it and or got something out of it. And I hope also that no one inside or indeed outside the autistic community, the goth community, or the emo community takes offense at some of the comparisons I've made here. My views are my own, and I do not speak for particularly the autistic community as a whole, and I don't feel qualified to do so, honestly. As always, however, thank you for watching, or listening in this case. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye for now.